What's going on? Working on grinding a bunch of bevels. Today I've actually got 20 knives this week that I'm working on. Anyway, I want to show you a quick hack or how to get your bevels nice and crisp, but also how to line them up perfectly on either side so everything stays symmetrical. So let's take a look. So I'm using the Moen tooling bevel grinding jig, which is amazing, and I've got it the attachment fixed to the blade behind a Bill Banky file guide. The file guides that come with the Moen tooling jig aren't great at all; they're really thin, and so I continue to use a standard file guide so we keep those plunge lines even on both sides of the blade. But when you're grinding knife blades, you want the geometry to be symmetrical, obviously, and so you want the length of the grind to stop the same on both sides, and you also want the depth to stop on both sides. And so the way I do this, I set up my blades, I mark them all out, so I've got where the scales are going to, the face of the scales or top of the scales are going to fall on the blade, and I want everything to kind of be symmetrical, and so there's the corner of the scale. I want the bevel to be as close to that corner as possible to kind of keep lines nice and even. But we also want everything to be the same on both sides. And so what I do is I put the scale on, mark the top of the scale. I actually use these aluminum jigs that I've made up so everything's consistent every single time. Then I take a straight edge and I create about 3/16 of a gap between the top of the scale and where the plunge line will be. I draw a line and then I attach the file guide to it, and then we grind in the bevels. And so the way I get these all consistent is by once I do the face side of the blade, okay, which is, I guess you could say, the left facing side of the blade if you're right-handed, I always grind the face side first. Most people are right-handed, and most people kind of fixate to that left side. That's also where we put our maker's mark, and so I get this side absolutely perfect. And then in order to mirror it, I take a little marker and I mark exactly where that bevel ends for length, and then I transfer it over to the opposite side. Okay, so that establishes the length. Now what I'm gonna do is take a set of calipers, and they can be off, but as long as they're locked, and I'm gonna measure the depth, or just stop at the depth of the face side, come over to the opposite side, and then just gently scribe in a line onto the opposite side so that I know exactly, it's a little difficult to see here in this lighting, but I know exactly where to stop as I grind the opposite side. And so what that ends up doing is giving you really consistent grinds. As you can see here, they are both the same on both sides, and they both end as far as length is concerned as well. So everything's symmetrical on both sides of the blade. All right, that's how we do it here at Armis. That's how we get consistent grinds. We've learned through a lot of trial and error, and we still have room to improve, I'm sure, but I'm curious what you guys think and how you grind blades. I know a lot of people grind by hand. I'm not that talented. I can do it, but for consistency's sake and for the amount of knives we're producing, a jig is the way to go. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.